Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled.
I'll say it one more time just to get it deeper into the brain. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. I had one sentence to read. But they will be filled. So, that's what we're talking about tonight. Sticking with that one little short line again. So, what do you guys think righteousness is?
Being right?
In what spheres?
In like a legal sense, and yeah, like there's like your life is marked by peace, kind of a way. Like you're in right standing in your relationships.
Yeah. What else?
Well, it does have some negative connotations, I think.
Like what?
Well,
Why is it like every single week we have to be like, there's a spiritual word in here with negative connotations? Like it's like literally every week we have to do this. Yeah.
I mean, the church, we haven't done a very good job of stewarding these words the last couple of years.
Yeah. So with the word righteousness, I'll just let you guys know. I keep going to the proof of this, but like we have a lot of other stuff to talk about, so I'll just keep it quick. But righteousness means two things. It means purity of heart, and it also means justice in systems. And there's a clear biblical like if you look at the biblical word, like that's what righteousness means. It's like the world being right on the outside, but also like having a pure heart on the inside. And churches usually like to just take one half of righteousness and rock that, or one half of the gospel and rock that, right? So you got your conservative churches that like to focus on how righteousness means like sexual purity and prayer. It's like these internal things. And then you have your liberal churches that like to focus on how righteousness means things like racism, and it means things like environmental protection, and it's these justice things, right? But the righteousness that Jesus is talking about, and there's all over the Bible, like has to be both. And James 1:27, it says, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So like we have to be like internally pure, but also have like loving practical action to be righteous, right? Yeah. Oh, and something I just wanted to share because it like popped on my newsfeed this morning was I was reading the New York Times, and there was this article about how a bunch of black pastors are pushing Joe Biden to advocate for like a ceasefire in Gaza. And it was a really cool article, and when I was reading through it, like her name is Reverend Cynthia Hill. She said, "We see them as part of us. They're oppressed people, and we're oppressed people." Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was really beautiful that, like, while I was going to talk about this today, that there was like this clear example of somebody who's hungry and thirsting for righteousness, and getting to do it in the New York Times today was like, I was so excited. Okay, so here's a question. Why do you think he says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst"? Okay, let me back up. I need to stress different words. Why do you think that he says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness," instead of saying, "Blessed are those who are righteous"?
Is he assuming that no one is righteous? And
Yeah.
It's a pursuit type of thing?
Yeah.
It's like a being type of thing?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anybody want to add to it?
It's an active process.
Yeah.
Once you think you're righteous, then you start kind of backsliding a little bit.
Yeah.
So identify it, their ego attaches to that concept, and then
Totally.
decay.
I think it's like a gift. Like
Yeah.
I think it said like faith was credited to Abraham as righteousness,
Mm-hmm.
and I think faith is a grace. So I think in a sense you have to ask for righteousness.
Yeah, like we're getting a righteousness that's not ours through Jesus' death. He gives us a righteousness that we don't have. So it's a righteousness we hunger for, but not that we don't own.
Yeah, 'cause like I think, oh jeez. Yeah, I think like in the same way that like you can drink wine to like drown out your sorrows or to like not think about like your family or something like that or your responsibilities. But then like Jesus drank wine at the same time, but he wasn't doing it to like escape responsibilities. So like two people were doing the same action, but one is righteous and the other isn't.
Yeah. The way I wanted to put what you said is like, if you think you're righteous, you're actually just self-righteous. Like, and what real spiritual health looks like is looking at somebody on death row and saying you're the same, like you're the same as me. And that's one of the beautiful parts about living a Christian life is we get to like look at each other as the same, you know. Okay, so he says the righteous will be satisfied. So why do you guys think that a heart like that is the one that can be satisfied? No, so not the righteous. Those who hunger and thirst for the righteousness, like we just said, can be satisfied. Why can that hunger be satisfied?
Because you're longing or you're hungering and thirsting for the things that God cares about. And those are really good things. And so when you're filling your life with those, then that's good.
Yeah.
And if you're seeking, right? If you're holding that question, you're keeping that curious, open heart, seeking God. I mean, that's the constant pursuit, and there's always more to be revealed.
Yeah.
And when I think of righteousness, I think of like right relationship. But like, it's, you know, when you talk about righteousness or right relationship, it's with God and each other and the earth, and there's things that equal justice and equal our own self relationship, the right relationship with ourselves. Like all those things imply morality, right? Like there's a morality there. And where does that come from? It comes from the pursuit of God.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why, because you just keep pursuing. I mean,
Yeah.
What I love also is, I was talking to you earlier about this, but it reminds me of the Peter story. Maybe I shouldn't use another example.
No, you're good. This is good.
It's where Jesus he's been raised from the dead, and he comes back to Peter, and he's like, "Do you love me?" And Peter's like, "Yeah, I love you like a friend." But Jesus is like, "Do you love me like agape?" Like, and Peter can't say that, and Jesus still is like, "It's okay, like feed my sheep." This feels really gracious, like you will be filled, like Jesus is, we're never gonna be fully righteous in this life, but God just loves that we're trying.
Yeah.
God just like loves the effort, right? It just feels like this is really gracious, like
Yeah.
you're never gonna arrive, but just try to have some hunger and thirst for this, and then like you will be filled. Like
Yeah.
I'll meet you. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
I see.
Yeah, Rudy. Yeah. He gave us thumbs up back there.
I mean, if I'm really thirsty, I am motivated to go and find a glass to put water in.
Yeah.
And like that sort of speaks to like being enabled by God to like answer our own prayers, like to like be really thirsty for something, and like that's motivating to like go out and try and make it happen as well, particularly in regards to justice.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other just kind of observations about the passage? Because I'm going to kind of take it in a new direction in a second.
I think it's, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking about maybe this is a question to pose to the group, but kind of the active nature of it makes me think about how, maybe not this specifically, but that kind of sentiment of inactiveness and not being completed can be switched to be like nothing ever changes, and there's no point in trying. And yeah, that thought was just coming to mind, and like kind of hearing that in Christian communities as a reason to not try because nothing
Yeah.
changes. And like with God, so it's like, oh, I shouldn't actually care because it's like something that just belongs to God that I can't actually do anything with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like most about this verse is, you know, I think like a very human experience is longing and desiring and all that. And this is basically saying like, if you channel all of your longing and desire in this one direction, you will actually be satisfied.
Yeah, I love that. And that's where we're gonna hang out for most of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Do you have more on that before I shout it over
No,
you?
it's just like, this is like, if you want to be satisfied, this is how you do it.
Yeah. Anybody else got stuff to say before we move on? And kind of, we're gonna focus on that for the rest of the night. Josh?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the fabric of the universe of the moral universe and of the universe itself is designed for ultimately it ends in righteousness and justice. And so if that's what you're looking for, then you will be fulfilled because it's like yearning for gravity. Well, things will fall. Like,
Yeah.
In the ultimate sense, you know, and I think that there's a sense that you're just going with the grain of the universe, and ultimately, your yearning will be fulfilled.
Yep. Yeah, righteousness is something God is gonna do. He's gonna make all the systems right, and for those who hunger and thirst for it, He's gonna make our hearts right.
I think that, like it says that if you do not eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll never inherit the kingdom or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a really hard saying for a lot of people because like it basically meant you had to like pin Jesus to the cross, and be intentional about pinning Jesus to the cross, and then also carry your own cross. And so it's almost like Jesus is telling us to murder him, you know, because like he's gonna save your life if you do so. And the fact that that's righteous somehow is like it kind of destroys our own concept of righteousness, in the sense that the only way that you can have righteousness is through faith, because anything that's not in faith is sin. And so to act in obedience to God's law, knowing that there are things that are far outside of your own understanding, that God's the ultimate creator and mastermind of all things, I think is kind of where the righteousness comes from. In just doing anything, like even if you're just doing dishes, you're still acting in faith. Even if you're just taking out the trash, you're still acting in faith.
Okay. For the rest of the night, so before I'm gonna do like some preaching, but before I get to the preaching bit, I think it'll hit harder if we get some reflection first about like what are the things that we actually hunger and thirst for. So what's the question that's on there? It's
What are the things that you hunger and thirst for with a desperate urgency?
desperate urgency. Yeah. So I'm gonna like ask a few questions while we do some meditation to try to check in with ourselves about like what are the things that we're actually hungry for at this stage of our life right now. And I'm gonna play a little bit of music and let you guys kind of reflect a little bit. So Alexa, continue. There we go. There it is. So if it's helpful, you might want to close your eyes and maybe take some deep breaths. But yeah, try to start asking yourself, like, what are the things that you long for with a desperate urgency? And if the first answer is like nothing, that you aren't really urgently hungry for anything, you can maybe reflect on like, why is that? Or maybe you could ask yourself if that's even true, if maybe there's some tiredness over the things that you actually do care about that's kind of keeping you from seeing it. But what are the things that you find yourself daydreaming about? What are the things that you find yourself thinking, if I get this, I will finally be happy? Is it recognition? Is it money? Is it time off? Is it a relationship? Or maybe like peace, like stuff we see on the news that kids would stop getting bombed in Gaza, or on our own streets that black people would stop getting shot. The homeless kids would have homes in our city. And like personally, like what do you find yourself wanting for your heart? Do you want for God to make your heart whole? Or that you could find a sense of rootedness in a community that sees you? Yeah, what do you long for with a sense of desperate urgency? So normally we do this at the end, but I'm gonna let us break into groups of 4 right now to just kind of talk about what came up while you were thinking just now. And honestly, wow, I feel like we might have to just like, I see some like tears going on, which I didn't know that God was gonna do that. So maybe we'll take some time to let people share in the larger group when we come back if we need to too. Or, and then another thing that I'm gonna say we could probably do is, if you want to like stop doing this in here and go in and pray with somebody, we could use Kanae's room right here. Yeah, Echo, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Yeah, let me just pray for that real quick, because yeah, Jesus, I can tell some people are like hungry for your spirit right now. Yeah, I can tell that there's like some like desperation to be filled by you. And so, yeah, help us to lean into your promise tonight that if we hunger and thirst for a righteous heart that's pure and that wants your justice, that our hearts will find the only satisfaction there is to have in life. And we can have that. Amen. Does somebody feel comfortable making themselves available to pray for people if people want to do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so Amy's available. Does anybody want to go into this room to just pray about something.
Or I can just be in there if someone wants to.
Yeah, and if a few minutes from now nobody goes in there, then you can just come back out. Yeah. And then, yeah, so otherwise, let's break into groups of 4 and just talk a little bit about what came up while we were listening.
For me, I was able to both kind of reflect on the things that use Keenan's phrase, trying to fill that God-shaped hole with.
Mm-hmm.
And then the things that like actually came up for me that one of
Keenan came up with that phrase, by the way. Sorry. Keep going, sorry. I messed your flow up.
And the things that like actually do want to fill that hole, like community, like I was feeling all this like warm and fuzzies around rooted community and just like not just it's both. It's how you connect with God and how and the things that are distracting you. I thought that was really helpful and useful and confusing because sometimes it feels like you have to pursue those things so you can get to those things that like you have to make all the mistakes to get to get to an understanding of your connection, the things that can make you connected to God.
That's why our A game is hungry and thirsting for it, not actually having it.
Yeah.
All right, for the rest of the time, I'm gonna break from the discussion format. I'm gonna preach at you guys. Don't worry, this is about 12 minutes, so it could be worse, but it's not that bad. Where am I? Oh yeah, when I go to a conference, like I'm a nibbler. Whenever I go to like a Christian conference or whatever, they have like cookies out and mandarin oranges and little eggs and I'm just when they're in front of me, little eggs in the Costco pack ones and stuff. They're just like
That is not often there.
It's happened. You gonna challenge me on this? I've seen the eggs. But of course you don't eat the eggs when there's M&Ms right next to it. You eat the M&Ms, right? You're just like so like when I'm at a conference, I'm perpetually in this state of being like sort of full and not hungry for like a real meal, but also kind of bloated, but also kind of like still hungry in a weird way. Do you know what I'm talking about? And a lot of us are constantly nibbling at the cultural table, and so we never get hungry for the things of God. And we're always eating, and we're never full. I'll plan this vacation to Banff, and I'll get these tickets to this Adrian Lenker show, and I'm gonna go try out EJ Packmore, which is a very good restaurant that you should all go to. But there's and I'm gonna do it all while I got like a podcast playing in my ears the whole time, and we're just always snacking, and so of course we don't have space to get hungry for something else. And none of it's bad. It's just that if it gets in the way of like our deeper like spiritual hunger, like at a soul level, right? And I do not like John Piper, but I do like this quote from John Piper. The greatest enemy of hunger for God is not poison, but apple pie. It is not the banquet of the wicked that dulls our appetite for heaven, but endless nibbling at the table of the world. It is not X-rated video, but the primetime dribble of triviality we drink in every night. And like, if owning a house, working a 40, and getting drinks on the weekend is enough for you, like, I do not understand you. Like, we are different people. Because I want so much more. I want to see each of you guys, like, spiritually flourishing. I want to see more house churches in this city. I want, like, to make a dent on, like, getting some homeless people housed. Like, I want more. Right? We used to watch Alone. Anybody seen Alone? It's like a survival in the wilderness show.
Yeah.
Did anybody see the one where the guy kills a moose? Okay, so this guy, he kills a moose, and the goal is to stay out in the woods as long as possible. And this guy actually does win, and it is because of the moose. So the moose was definitely hopeful. But he kills this moose, but what happens is, like, this badger comes and steals all the fat supply.
When he kills the moose, he thinks he's set.
Yeah, he thinks he's set for good, right? But a badger steals the fat that he'd, like, rendered. And then he's trying to still, like, just eat tons of moose every day. And he's just eating pounds and pounds of moose. But the thing is, moose meat doesn't have enough fat in it. So even though he's eating constantly, he is wasting away, and he's slowly dying. And there's this thing that we need to see where like the things that we're nibbling on, the things that we're going after to solve our like soul hunger are the things that are actually killing our souls like slowly, right? So Laurie Santos, she's a professor at Yale. She's got this podcast called The Happiness Lab, and she's always talking about how our brains are wrong about the things that actually bring us satisfaction in life. They're just plain wrong. So like this is peer reviewed scientific studies. Like people tend to think that things like money, status, and good grades, that kind of thing, will make them happy. What the science, peer reviewed, actual science like shows us is that the things that actually make people happy. Here's her list: sleep, exercise, nutrition. So like take care of your body, like duh, right? Got to do that. But then the rest of this list is all the stuff I wanted to say: community, gratitude, mindfulness, being aware and loving the moment for what it is, not needing something else, right? Finding meaning in everyday life. That's what a healed heart looks like, right? Mindfulness, like I love what I have and what God's given me today. I'm okay with it. Gratitude, I'm invested in community because love is what a healed heart is after. What was the other one? Finding meaning. Like if you want meaning, like we believe that all the world's going to come to this beautiful note and the lion will lie down with the lamb. Like if you want meaning, that's heaven, boy. That's heaven. Okay, here's another banger of a metaphor. You guys ready? So hypothermia. When hypothermia sets in... Okay, I got a new one. I think I skipped some stuff. Whatever, we're going on. All right, get ready. It's all going to relate. Hypothermia. There's this thing called paradoxical undressing and terminal digging. And what happens is when people are out and hypothermia is setting in and they're out like in the Arctic or something, first they take off their clothes and then they start burrowing into the snow. And scientists think that the reason that this happens is because there's some like ancestral link to hibernation where it's like, I'm really cold, it's time to go into the snow. And that just kind of takes over our brains when we're like really out of it from hypothermia. And so it's actually led to a lot of misdiagnosed like murders because people will come on these scenes where there's like a half naked person sticking out of the snow and they're like, is this a half-hearted attempt to like bury a dead body? Like what happened here? But yeah, it's paradoxical undressing and terminal digging. As the cold sets in, we begin to dig deeper into the snow, into the thing that's killing us. And the way that we're relating to the internet, the way that we all know it's like bad for us, and yet we're just carrying around our phones and if it business I gotta see, and like we're like building AI as fast as we can in order to like build this thing that we think maybe will enslave us. Like it's paradoxical undressing and terminal digging is what it looks like to me. And yeah, we know social media is bad for us. We talk about it in church all the time. We saw the social dilemma in 2020. Like we know that, but as soon as we start getting lonely, there's this ancestral, like primordial part of our brain that says, I need to feel like some kind of adoration. So we'll post and we'll wait and we'll see if we get our likes, right? And I know that my version of terminal digging is like looking up influential pastors. And like, but so like every 3 months, I'll do a little Google search for like up and coming pastors. And I am the last man on earth that ever like searches for this because no articles ever come up. This is the same article from like 2016 that comes up, and I've read it like many times before already. But like, yeah, like, and then the articles that do come up, they're like, watch out for Mark Driscoll. This guy's hot. And like, they're like, watch out for Carl Lentz. He's coming. These are people who like morally fell apart and it's been really bad. But
Understand.
yeah, so like, but yeah, even now the John Tysons, the Mark Sayers, the kind of hip people now, I'll look them up and I'll try to study from them and try to learn how to like keys to my own success. And yeah, it's the way that I know when I'm doing it that I'm digging deeper into this terminal digging just thing that's going to hurt me, you know? And you know that holing up in your room to watch Netflix when you feel lonely ain't gonna help. You know it. But when you've had this long work day and all the emails felt like, paper cuts, and now you're thinking like, oh, I gotta go to like a run club or whatever, and I need to have all these awkward conversations with people, and am I gonna have emotional energy for that? And so what do? We start terminal digging. All around this city right now, there's people that are so freaking lonely and afraid to come out here and sit in this room and be with us. There's just this widespread loneliness getting dug in deeper, right? It's terminal digging. And as the cold sets in, we're just like, give me some likes, give me some career advancement, give me something, right? I love this. Jesus doesn't say, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for blessing. Because those are the ones getting blessed. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for blessing. No. And one of the just weird things about being alive, and just one of the deep spiritual truths that you'll find pretty much anywhere you look into spirituality, is that you cannot get satisfaction directly. You can't get it by wanting it, right? If you make your life about being an author, you'll always be desperately afraid that your work is no good. If you make your life about climbing the ranks at an investment bank, you're always going to feel like a failure and be super stressed out. If you make your life about finding love, then whoever you date, you're going to crush them with your expectations. The irony is the things that we want are the things that are starving us spiritually. And yeah, there's few things in life that it's actually safe to want. And what I love about Buddhism is that it has a really good framework for teaching that the things that we want are the things that actually torture us. And that there's this inverse relationship to wanting and to being healthy in a lot of ways. Where I depart from Buddhism is that they apply that to love and to hope and to everything. It's like wanting in general is just always bad for you. Here's what Jesus is saying. Here's what Jesus is saying. Your heart can go wild on righteousness and it won't get burned. You can want this and want this and want this, and like Josh said, it's gonna happen. Jesus is gonna make justice happen. God can give you this pure heart, and we get this freedom to want and not get burned by it. This is the start point of the night. Only a righteous heart can be satisfied. Only a good heart that wants to be pure and changed by God's love and to operate from God's love, and then that wants deeply to see justice come and to see the world made right by God. It's the only heart that can be satisfied. Jesus says it's not what comes from outside that pollutes a person, it's what comes from within. And dissatisfaction it doesn't originate outside of the heart, so you can't solve it outside of the heart. Dissatisfaction is a state of the heart. So it has to happen within there. So asking for vacations or relationships to solve something that is within the heart is like me asking ChatGPT to solve my marriage, and which I did for fun. And ChatGPT said, "I'm sorry, I cannot directly interact with individuals on your behalf." So it started out with pretty good boundaries. But then I asked, but will you do it sounding like a pirate? And then ChatGPT was like, I cannot resist. Let's go. And so this is what ChatGPT, when I said, please talk to my wife for me, ChatGPT, as a pirate, this is what it said. I had to dig to get it to do this for me, but it said, "Avast me, hearty. I've been sailing the tumultuous seas of our relationship, and my compass tells me we've hit a few rough waves. I reckon there be moments when the wind in me words didn't carry the right message. I be wanting to clear the storm clouds and navigate smoother waters together. Can we splice the main brace and chat about how we both can contribute to keeping our ship afloat and sailing true?"
That's poetry.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I was like, it's pretty good. I'm gonna go read it to Deanna. And I started reading it to her, and she said, "What are you doing? I'm so annoyed." And she closed the door. ChatGPT cannot solve my marriage. I can't look outside of the marriage to solve the marriage. I got to look within it, right? Back to the point. Our stupid brains are always telling us, like, change what's outside of you, and then you'll be happy. Change conditions, jobs, cities, friend groups, then you'll be happy, right? Jesus is like, no. It's in here. Like, that's where we start. The place to solve the dissatisfaction problem is to start getting hungry for God. Like, that's where you go. Because when God gives you back like a real working heart, loneliness can't touch you, depression can't touch you. A heart that's rooted in the love of God can't get hooked onto in these ways because it knows it's loved already. If you go to God with real hunger for his righteousness, both personal and systemic, that's the only thing that you can want and not get burned. I want to open up a deep longing for God with people, a soul level craving. A starving person has one single all encompassing thing that they want, and that's to eat. And when there's major famines or droughts or something, like, people will pick up and move. They'll like go somewhere else, right? Like, you think about the people that are coming up from South America, going through the Darien Gap, which Deanna told me about today. Like, they're leaving because they need to eat, right? Like, you'll move, you'll change. And will we mess up our lives and go somewhere new to get righteousness? Lamentations 3:48. Tears stream from my eyes because of the destruction of my people. I want to get a heart like that, and I want to get hungry for God's presence with some people. And like, what it makes me think about is, like, when I used to work on the Yakima reservation with this thing for kids. That's where I got really connected with my mentor. Oh man, my parents are calling me. That's where I got really connected with my mentor, Steve Luton, and it was such a heavy year because we were hanging out with these kids where, like, one of them, he blew off his hand because he was playing with the fireworks. Another kid, his 2-year-old brother got run over by his parents who were drunk driving. Another kid got his computer that we got for him stolen because his parents wanted to do crack. And these kids never wanted to go home. And so, like, at the end of the night, we're like telling them they have to go home back to these houses. And it was so hard and so heavy. And then we would get together in the morning with whatever, like, spiritual heaviness we had from the day before. And we'd go in, and I'd go into Steve Luton's house, and we'd pray together. And Steve would just be punching the ground and crying and saying, like, God, come. Like, I got to see up close what it looks like for somebody to hunger and thirst for righteousness. And I want a heart like that. I want us to have a heart like that. I want to have a heart like Carrie's when she's praying for sex workers. Like, I want to hunger and thirst for this with you guys. Yeah, like, the only thing that we can want and not get burned is righteousness. So let's pray. Could some other people start it up?
Yeah, the other thing that, like, strikes me, Jesus, is, like, the hunger and thirsting, like, that we can always hunger and thirst for you, and there's just always more. There's always more of you. There's always more goodness. There's always more to know. There's always more that you have for us. And so thank you for that, Jesus. Like, yeah, we can spend our rest of our lives, like, loving, like, growing more in love with you and wanting more of your heart. And yeah, I pray that you would light little fires under us that make us wake up in the morning and pray to you and desire the things that you desire, and show us like speak to our heads when we're trying to fill the God-shaped hole with things that just are not going to satisfy. Would you just redirect like our thoughts, Jesus, and help us? Like, we need you. Like, we're just always surrounded and inundated with these other ways of being that like seem enticing and then just fail to actually deliver. So Jesus, I just please like redirect our hearts. Thank you that you can fill us, and I do thank you that like one day we will be completely filled, and that your justice will be made like make everything perfect. That you will restore everything. So thank you that one day we like will be truly filled.
Reminded of the scripture, and I want to get it exactly right. I believe it's Isaiah 61. Go quote it because I'm too impatient. So, God speaking, He says, "Heaven is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Where then is the house that you would build for me? But this is the one to whom I will look, him who is humble of heart and contrite in spirit." And God meets us in our brokenness. He meets us in our emptiness. I like Sarah Young's writings and Jesus Calling and Jesus Always, and I've found her writings to be very sound. And in those writings, she speaks in the first person of God prophetically, and God basically says, "I made you this way, that you do have a need, which persists day by day. I didn't create you spiritually so that you can be one and done, go to the buffet, spiritual buffet once a week, and just get filled up and then you're good. But we have a day-by-day need, and that's okay. We just need to come to a place where we accept that, and it drives us to have that true spiritual engagement with the person of God and not deny it.
Give me Jesus. Sun will rise, yeah, the sun will rise, bring light to the earth as it springs from the ground. The sun will rise, yeah, the sun will rise. Won't you cry all your tears, lay your burden down. Won't you cry all your tears, lay your burden down. Sun will rise, yeah, the sun will rise, bring light to the earth as it springs from the ground. The sun will rise, yeah, the sun will rise. Won't you cry all your tears, lay your burden down. Won't you cry all your tears, lay your burden down. One more time. Sun will rise, yeah, the sun will rise, bring light